and gentlemen, welcome to another special edition of Season Ticket Holders. I'm your host, Dane Livingston, and we said we were going to bring back our special UFC Muay Thai expert, Tom Hayfield, straight from Thailand, direct from the source. Mate, how are you going over there?
Good, Dan. Good, good. It's been an epic trip. Just finished up training at AKA Thailand, and this afternoon we're heading up to Bang Tao for the next few days, and I'll be training there this afternoon. So it's been good. It's pouring rain today, and it's super muggy, but it's we're having the best trip. It's been good fun.
And no fight announcement. You said it was going to happen here first.
No, no fire announcement, just training. I think coming here makes you realize how average you are because everyone here is very good. So, but no, man, it's been amazing. It's the first session. I honestly gassed in 2 rounds, and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like it's on a whole nother level, and the heat, and it's awesome. It's been so much fun. How was your boys' weekend?
Good to hear, mate. Yeah, look, I'm still recovering. I can't say that I've slept a lot, but awesome weekend up there in Cairns. Beautiful weather up there. The Jack, like I mentioned, beautiful pub, big screen, perfect atmosphere to watch our boy Alexander Volkanovski do it again. He did it,
How
baby.
good. Oh
Um,
wow.
All-time moment. The pub up there was absolutely heaving for him, and when the song hits, "Land Down Under," he comes out. And you know what it's like, Tom, the excitement of seeing our boy come up. So look, let's just dive straight into it because obviously we're both on cloud nine because we've had a few
Yes.
days to let it sink in, but our boy did it again. How was that feeling, mate? How good is it?
It's the best. We were watching it at a sports bar in Patong, out of all places, and it was the Aussie sports bar. So it was going off. It was heaving. It was 9 a.m. in the morning, and there was not a seat in the house. Everyone was screaming. Everyone was cheering, and it felt like vintage Volk. I felt like he came out. It wasn't a clinic, but it was an amazing fight, and it was super close. But he definitely won, and it was so good to see.
Yeah, I don't want to say we called it because I know a lot of people would have said that predictions, but that is basically what we discussed, right? We wanted to see that 5 round vintage grinding decision Volk. He used that jab to perfection, kept the distance, was aggressive when he needed to be, plenty of pressure. It's like that one, like we said, through those Holloway fights that he perfected, and that's what he did in this fight. He came out in that first round and just blitzed through him. When he took him down and had that ground and pound, you almost thought he could finish the fight. Just
Yes.
how dominant he was early, man. But just watching him just grind it through those 5 rounds. Obviously, we had that scary moment at the end of the second, and we all had our hearts in our mouth, thinking, "Has his jaw gone?" What were you thinking when that happened? Because I know my heart sunk because I was like, "Oh no, here we go again, third knockout in a row."
Yeah, it was definitely a moment. It was super scary, but credit to Volk, he pushed through, and he honestly, like, he's getting on in age, but his cardio, man, he did not stop. Like, he was circling, he was moving, he was coming in when he needed to, he was avoiding when yeah, and it was just like to do that for 5 rounds, and it was just amazing to see. It's so good. I'm so happy for him.
Mate, I was absolutely stoked. That was the scariest moment. The only thing that you'd say throughout the fight when they were scarier than that was that time in the fourth, which I would
Mm,
say was probably the only round that I agreed that he did lose.
yes.
That's when we obviously saw the eye poke, and it looked like he said post fight that he actually did lose vision that eye. He obviously had to run around just to try and regain composure.
Mm,
What did you make of that moment? Because that obviously was the other big one for him, where it looked like, oh no, there could be some sort of
yes.
injury here. He could get finished. What were you thinking?
Yes, I think we're a little bit traumatized too, because whenever you see something, you're like, oh no, not again, not again. But to his credit, yeah, push through. And I think his coach, Joe Lopez, mentioned that he might have broken his hand as well, like early on
Early in
in
the
the fight.
fight. Yeah.
So that just shows the heart that he has, and just the mental toughness. Like, you wouldn't have known. He just punching the whole fight. He was moving the whole fight. It was vintage Volk, and it was awesome to see.
And then obviously holding on to that fifth, he looked pretty good. I wasn't surprised by the judges' scorecards. I wasn't too worried either. Obviously, we had
Mm,
two gave it 49-46, one gave it 48-47. I don't think I would agree to that one. I
mm,
would have said, I don't think he lost the second, even though he did get that knockdown. I think he still did enough to win that. I would agree that he probably lost the fourth, but even though that was still tight, I would be happy to see him win 5-0.
yeah.
But what did you think of that? I thought 49-46 is probably an accurate reflection of the fight.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, and probably, yeah, 4 rounds to one. I agree with you. Yeah, it was awesome. So good.
And just the ability to wind back the clock like that. I know everyone spoke about the chin, which obviously did get tested, but the fact that he
Mm,
did sort of get that light turned off just for that millisecond and fought back, it's that
mm,
championship mentality that we talked about, right? Like how he does come
yes.
back from adversity. The eye poke was the other scary one. And the only other parts
Mm,
that I really remember watching the fight, every time they got in the grapple, that's when it looked like he could have been in trouble. Every time
yes.
they went to grapple and sort of broke apart, that's when you thought maybe Lopez could just sort of catch him as they were
Mm,
moving apart. But every time Volk just sort of just had his head out of the way, or Lopez was just a
mm,
fraction too slow to really
yes.
connect on those big exchanges. But that was the only time I was worried. But watching that fifth round, my palms were sweaty, white
Mm.
knuckled. I was holding my friend Dan on his knee, thinking, we just need to hold on here, mate. I also had a bet on decision. That's the other reason.
Yes.
But I was thinking, we just need to hold on here, mate, because we've done this again. And just a euphoric feeling, man. Just for him to be able to come back to reclaim the featherweight belt. He broke that 35-year-old plus curse in the lighter divisions. He was the first one, I think, under welterweight to win a title fight in those light divisions. But if anyone was going to do it right, it had to be Volk.
Yes. And like, what about his quote at the end of the fight? Adversity is a privilege. And that pretty much sums up his journey. Like,
Perfect.
you couldn't have nailed it any better. I'm pretty sure it's already on t-shirts and I'll be purchasing one. But yeah, man, that just sums it up. But he adversity is a privilege, and that's his mindset. He's honestly he's gone above and beyond, and he deserves all the fruits and credit to him, and it makes you proud to be an Australian, and makes you proud to have someone like Volk representing a country, especially in a sport that we love.
On the flip side, too, I mean, Lopez, were you a little bit surprised at his performance? I know I've seen some people say that maybe he didn't come out with the aggression that people thought that he might have
Yes.
come out because he was coming in on a little bit of a tear in the division. People thought he was the rightful sort of number one contender alongside Volk. Um, I mean, I think he put up a pretty good show. I think he was a little
Mm.
bit surprised at how much Volkanovski came out of the blocks with that pressure. But I guess that also just goes to show when you have 14 months off. And we'll never know if this would have happened with the Taporia fight now, taking it so close after the Islam fight. But having those breaks does seem to make a difference because his pace didn't seem to drop. And that was the Volkanovski you'd probably say we haven't seen in a few years, especially not in his last couple of fights.
It's true. And Lopez hits hard, man. Like, and his chin got tested. Volk's chin got tested, and his cardio was just there for days. And yeah, I feel like Lopez put up an amazing fight. It was definitely he earned that title shot. Like, he earned that, and he proved that. And it wasn't a whitewash. And it was a very, you could tell Volk was buggered. You see his face. He's belted up. Like, he looks probably the worst I've seen him after a fight
Totally
in a very
agree.
long time. And that just shows that Lopez hits hard, and he's a weapon, and he deserved that title shot. But it also just shows how good Volk is, and it's amazing. Good on
I,
him.
I totally agree with that because if he had finished with basically two big purple patches right underneath his eyes, I don't think I
Yeah.
could ever recall Volk being in a war like that, man. So
He does
Lopez,
that to people. Like,
yeah,
you see people after fighting Volk look like that, but that was the worst I've seen Volk look. And saw after the fight, him and Izzy had a bit of a moment, and they embraced, and he kind of fell into Izzy's arms, and Izzy was hugging him, and he's like, "Oh man," like he was just buggered. Like, he could tell he put his heart and soul and everything into that, and he was, there probably wasn't a lot left because he just left it all out in the cage, and it was amazing.
that's what I looked like Monday morning after the boys' weekend.
You needed an embrace. You needed a hug.
A big
Mate, I'm
one, mate.
sending you a hug all the way from Thailand, eh?
I wish we were next to each other, brother. Yeah, look, so that was obviously that. And look, I guess the next thing is to now he has spoken about it that he does want to defend pretty quickly. He's always open
Mm.
to that. Now, the guy that everyone's been talking about is Movsar Evelev. Now, he is 19 and 0, the Russian, on a big tear. Obviously, hasn't lost before. He's won about eight or so fights by decision. This is the guy who I think he's ranked, I got to double check, fifth in the division at the moment. But you'd have to think, yeah, tied for fifth with Yair Rodriguez. So right now, the rankings are Max Holloway, Diego Lopes, Ilia Topuria, who of course is going to drop out because he has moved up to lightweight, Yair Rodriguez, and tied with Everlev. So that is the top five sort of picture at the moment. But this is the guy that even Volkanovski's acknowledged probably is the one that's next in line. You'd have to think, we've talked about this already. Holloway 4 doesn't make sense. He's just done Lopez. It's not Tapuria. And Yair, we only saw that fight a couple of years ago. We all saw what happened then. So in that regard, you have to think this is the clear guy that would be next in line. And Volk seems pretty keen to get back in there with him.
Yeah, I think I, to be honest, haven't heard much about that guy. And you just explaining then the rankings that all those other fights don't really make sense. So I guess that is the most fight that does make sense. And um, if Volk wants to jump straight back in and he's the next contender, then I guess it's going to be epic.
Yeah, he's 31. Like I said, 19-0, 12 decisions, 3 knockouts, 4 submissions. So I think we can all know it seems to be another one of those Russian archetypes, wrestler, grappler. He's going to come out, grind you, wear you down. So that's obviously going to be another big challenge for Volk.
Mm.
And you know, as an Aussie too, it would be great if we could just see him in Sydney specifically, but back in Australia. I know they got to do that Islam fight in Perth not too long ago, but wouldn't it be good just to see him come down here? Now he's become the two-time UFC Featherweight champion, defend that belt in Sydney so you and I can get in the beers and watch that together.
Oh, mate, that'd be all time. That if he can defend his belt in Sydney and that fight takes place in Sydney, and I think that could be the perfect time for him to retire.
Yeah, mate, you'd love to see it, and it's just so
If
happy. You
What a
go.
way to go out if, you know, in front of a home crowd, he defends the belt, gloves in the ring. I feel like that's the fairy tale ending.
Giddy up into the sunset back on the farm, baby.
Yes. How
Well,
good.
well, that's what you have to think, right? I mean, he is 36, turning 37, I believe. What is left for him? He's done the two-time thing, which not many people can ever claim. I would say he's the GOAT now, at least of the featherweight division. He had Jose Aldo before him, but I think Volkanovski's done enough, especially now, to reclaim that title. He is the GOAT of the division. He's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. He's going to be the greatest MMA practitioner to come out of Australia, if not the greatest combat sports fighter to come out of the country, I'd have to say, after all this is said and done. As far as his legacy goes, you think maybe, yeah, he comes out and defends one more time. If he loses, I don't think there's too much left for him. If he wins, he can lay it down and go up on top of the champion, mate. So I can't wait to see what happens. I'd like to see it soon. And selfishly, I'd love to just see it back here in Sydney in front of a big crowd. You can even do a stadium. Why not send him out like a champion? Go to like Allianz and get 50, 60,000 people. They've had big fights up at Suncorp in Brisbane before with Manny Pacquiao. Why not come down here and just do like a big stadium show? How good would that be?
I completely agree, and I feel like he'd pack it out. It would be full. And imagine the money they'd make. Imagine the experience for everyone. Imagine the experience for him. And even if he lost, imagine just being in front of all your home people. He's such a hometown hero. Everyone would just love him, and it'd just be the best way to go out. I feel, when is the next Sydney card? Isn't it like next Feb? See,
Well,
that
no,
might be a bit late.
Well, they've got one more contracted as far as the
Hmm.
deal that they have with the New South Wales government, but I don't see why there's any reason why that has to be in February. I don't think the date's locked
Gotcha.
in. So I think there's a potential. And I did hear, I think Ariel Hawani was speaking about there was rumors of an Australian show later this year. So
Oh, wow. That could be it.
yeah,
That would be amazing. Do you know what else I noticed? He got a nice welcome. I just saw a video when he got back to Sydney Airport, and I noticed your boy Cody K
I,
interviewed him for Fox Sports, and I was like, "Where's Dane? This is his moment. This is
I,
it." And
I,
your boy Cody K dropped in, and he did a good job, of course, and good on him, man. I would have loved to be there.
Yeah, me too. Stealing my thunder out there, Cody. It's funny you say that because I actually I shot Cody a message to see if we can get a bit of an update for the podcast, but he hasn't got back to me just yet. But I did try and catch up with it. But that is awesome. Obviously, touchdown back in Australia doing some media, and I dare say they might do something else in the coming days. And obviously, he's been releasing his podcast and YouTube and stuff like that as well. But so
Awesome.
good to see him back home, man. I was pumping Land Down Under all day Friday morning at work, getting ready to leave, and I was just getting pumped. And
Sick.
oh man, I was on cloud nine. I can tell you, Sunday night, just absolutely so happy in my Volk shirt. Um, very, very deep into the weekend, and
Yeah,
it
good.
was.
We left the Aussie bar at in Patong and was walking up and down Bangla Road, and it was Thai New Year. It was at Songkran, and it's just a massive water fire. And we walked out and instantly bucket of water over the head. Had to buy water pistols just to get amongst it, and it was the funniest. You're just walking up and down. I just like wanted to gaffer tape my mouth so I didn't eat any rank water. And you're
You
just
can't drink that Thai
headshotting
water.
people. Nah, that'd end the trip pretty quick. But you're just headshotting people point blank. And I was in my Volk shirt and I'd had a few beers you just get away with it. You literally just go and just spray someone in the face and it's all fine. And it was the funniest day, man. We're on such a high, such a cool thing to experience. It was cool.
What a way to celebrate. I was at the Gilligan's pool party up there in Cairns, which
Sick.
is also no one shoot me in the face with water, but it was pretty good too. I
Oh,
do remember
good.
though drinking those buckets in Thailand and Bangkok, and I did have ice, and I got very sick. So that's a warning out there.
Yeah.
Don't drink the
Yeah, I'm
Thai
fingers
water.
crossed.
Yeah,
Fingers
yeah.
crossed. We'll see how we go. What about Pimblet?
Mate, now let's get straight into it because the co-main event, we talked about it. I was still a little bit unsure about Paddy, but I think after this fight, I think he's shut up a lot of doubters, a lot of critics. I was probably a little bit one of them myself, but that's the most dominant performance and the most impressive performance I think of his career. The best we've ever seen against Michael Chandler, who we all know is no joke, man. Michael Chandler's right up there, even though he hasn't had great form in the UFC lately. He's an absolute killer. And to see what Paddy did to him, how big did Paddy look? He looked like an absolute gorilla in there. He was massive, and he really made Chandler look small. And not only did he make him look small, he just imposed himself in that fight. Really just shut Chandler down. What did you make of it?
It was so dominant, and he comes out smiling, he's laughing, he's dancing, he's almost just like flamboyant, and he's just enjoying every moment. And he comes out and is just the most evil intentions. Like that was full on to watch, like these elbows and Chandler's face and the way the fight finished, where he was literally just covering up and he was doing these like 12 to 9 downward elbows onto his face. It was like, please stop this fight. And then he just stands up and starts dancing, and you're just like, it was, yeah, it was unbelievable. I was like, it was the most dominant performance that I'd seen in a while. Chandler is highly ranked, Pimblet out of the top 15. Now you'd have to think he is well into the top 10 and for a title contention. Like that was one of the most impressive performances against such a tough guy.
Mate, I 100% agree. They obviously just completely made differently in the north of England, up there from Liverpool. But yeah, to see what he did, sort of was thinking submission, and he did really go for those submissions because he had his back sort of on the ground, kept and
The
Chandler just
blood was spurting out of his cut as he was squeezing his head
yeah,
and trying to rear naked choke
it
him.
it was intense, and he had that weird cut right, which was actually underneath the eye, like on his
From
cheek.
that
Yeah,
knee was insane,
yeah,
man. Like,
100%. And
yeah,
yeah, and that's Paddy's striking too. Like it looked crisp and it looked strong in this fight. That's some of the best I've seen from him on the feet. But then on the ground, he was obviously just completely outclassed. Chandler had no answers. He was trying to lock in like a rear naked. Chandler just sort of avoided it. And then Pimlet just went to the strikes, man. And when he did that, that was just nasty. Game over.
nasty. It was almost probably 5 to 7 too many strikes. Like the ref should have stopped that. Like,
100%.
I think his wife and kids were there. They don't need to see that. Eh? It was hectic.
No
Yeah,
way. I mean, I don't think it was an
no,
early stoppage, but just as far as yeah, stopping the cruelty of getting him
the
finished, like
cruelty.
it was, yeah, the mercy stoppage. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, Paddy, mate, I don't know where he goes from here. I think he takes a big step up into that that top five picture in that lightweight division. So yeah, look, awesome to see. I'm a big believer of his now. I can't wait to see what he does next. Into our next fight, man, we'll just touch on Yair Rodriguez against Patricio Pitbull. I mean, Yair did what he had to do. He looked pretty impressive in that featherweight fight. Obviously, it's a bit of a logjam here, like we said, but these guys all trying to get that number one contender spot. And Patricio, I mean, we all talked about him, few-time Bellator champion, came in there, but maybe he's coming in a lot later in his career to his late 30s. And it's always a tough ask when you've had that long out to try and come out into the UFC a completely different beast against these opponents. What'd you make of this fight?
I thought it was a great fight. Every fight on this card was a great fight. It was
They were
it was
bangers,
so
wasn't it?
entertaining. They all delivered, and
Yeah,
and this was another great fight. And Yair Rodriguez proved why he's definitely in the top five. He's one of the best fighters in that weight division. And Pitbull, it was very, it wasn't one sided. It was
it was
very,
competitive. It
tit
was
for
still a
tat. It was
competitive fight.
competitive. It
Yeah.
was it was awesome. It was good to see. But yeah, Yair Rodriguez too good in the end.
It's just a shame that I suppose for him and his future that, Volk did do what he did to him very recently, at least in the mind. So for him to get a title shot, you'd have to think he'd have one more fight. to get
Mm.
there, which by the time that happens, I don't think Volk would even be the champion potentially. So that's a shame for him. But no, very impressive to see him go down. And do that victory, mate. And into the next one, which we're all really looking forward to with Bryce Mitchell and John Silver. And I got more and more hyped about Silver the more and more I read into him, and he absolutely didn't disappoint.
Mm.
He's an absolute killer, man. He's on a massive tear at the moment, and he is, of course, in the featherweight division as well. So he is going to be in the picture very soon. I don't think he was ranked coming into this fight. I could be wrong. And then I think a few of us, we all did want to see Bryce Mitchell shut up just a little bit, and well and
Mm.
truly shut up now, you'd have to think.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I feel like Silver was now piping up at Volk, wanting a shot. So, but it was a dominant, awesome performance. So good on him. And yeah, Bryce Mitchell, it was when he got choked out, it was his eyes like he didn't move for a while. It was yeah.
Well, at least he can have nightmares of beautiful women to keep him company at night. So I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people wanted to see that happen to him, and it definitely happened. So yeah.
It was a little bit surprising. He did have some crowd support, and even at the Jack where I was, a few people cheered him, so I was a little bit surprised. But
Mm,
he obviously does have his fans out there. But yeah, Jean Silva, he's 16-2 now. I think that's back-to-back performance of the Knights, and he's been an
what a
absolute,
beast.
yeah, 13 wins in a row, and I think only one of them is a decision. So he absolutely was a killer, and a ninja choke too is what it went down with. So impressive ground game when we thought it was going to be a knockout. He did really threaten the knockout too, but impressive submission there in the end. And the final fight on the main card, man, Dominic Reyes, and that was an impressive knockout. I was eating my palmy at the time, unfortunately, and I hate it when this happens. Don't eat during fights. I should know better, but I had to eat. As I turned down to cut my chicken, he was on the ground. So, you want to talk us through the? You want
Oh,
to talk us through this one, mate? It was a split second, and I totally missed it.
yeah, it was awesome, and I feel like you and I both guessed Reyes by knockout, and
Yeah.
and it was the first round, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yes, first or
Yeah, and
second. Let me double check.
it was dominant, man. He looked dangerous, and he's got heavy hands. He hits hard, and it was over pretty quick, and an impressive performance. He's what's three fights in a row now that he's won. So
Yeah, well, really, it was 2
good
minutes
on him.
24 into the first, by the way. So very quick. And you're right,
Yeah.
that's three quick knockouts. And that's off the back of getting knocked out three times. So that's incredible, man. So he lost to that John Jones in decision. And then he got knocked out three times to Jiri, Jan Blachowicz, and Ryan Spann. Then had 2 years off and now has had three knockouts to put himself back in the title picture. So if that does happen, that's a pretty incredible comeback, man, because usually when you win four in a row, you don't get held on by the UFC. So for him to come back and do that, very impressive.
That's amazing. Yeah, what a bounce back. Yeah, it was awesome to see that to kick the card off the main card. It was like we're in for an epic afternoon here on epic morning, and yeah, it was awesome, man. It was so cool.
Now, I can get some breaking news for you because our resident roving reporter, Cody Kay, has got back to me. So I did. He can, special guest to the podcast, Cody Kay, has been a few times, but he just let me know that he did talk to Volkanovski at Sydney Airport just a little while ago. And he did acknowledge, he didn't talk too much about who he wants to fight, but as we said, Mobstar is the guy he wants to fight, but he said it isn't exciting. So that's what we sort of just got at too, right? Like having those decision wins. He's not thinking that as an exciting fight. And he did mention that he'd still be keen on the Ilya rematch. So that's the one thing we probably didn't touch on. That was, of course, the fight we were all expecting coming into this. Ilya decides to vacate and move up. Is that a fight you still want to see as a fan?
Yeah, I'd love to see Volk try and get that back. It's just if Ilya wants to come back down, I guess, if he's set on going to lightweight. But yeah, I feel like Volk, as such a dominant champion, he lost the belt to Ilya. He deserves that rematch, and I find that way more exciting than that Russian guy for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. And I mean, that would be, I mean, the fairy tale finish too, wouldn't it? I mean, he gets finished, come back, avenger that loss. It'd be incredible. Cody did mention that he
Imagine that in Sydney.
Oh, mate, and he wins by knockout. But he did mention Ilya, but it would have to be down here. So he did mention that it would have to be, sorry, weight division. It would have to be in featherweight. So I think Volk's completely given up on moving up, and I think that's probably the
Yeah.
right thing. I think he's a bit too old now to try and make a run at any sort of lightweight type of thing. But Ilya is probably the other fight, right? If he doesn't take a young up and comer, but in saying that, Ilya's been very vocal that the reason he moved up was the weight cut was too hard to get to
Yes.
featherweight. So I doubt that we would see him back down to take on Volk.
probably more his choice than Volk's, I guess.
Well, that's true. Yeah, yeah, no,
Mm.
that's very true, mate. So, yeah, well, look, we'll just have to watch this space. I'm sure we're going to see some fight announcements soon. And, mate, I think the fairy tale now is Volk in Sydney. We'd love to see it. I mean, anywhere in Australia, too. Like, it'd be good to see him just anywhere to come back and do what he all did again. But we did it, Tom. UFC 314, Volkanovski, two-time featherweight champion. Let's go, baby.
Happy days, boys and girls. We're it's awesome to be a fight fan, and yeah, so stoked. Good on you,
Beautiful.
Volk.
Mate, awesome feeling. Yeah, shout out to Volt, man, because it's not only that, it's just the inspiring type of person that he was. Cody did mention too that that's sort of the message he still wants to get out there as he's gotten older in his life. He's more into sort of supporting adversity and people getting back there and setting that positive message to never give up. And I think you saw there and the big, I suppose the storyline that was in his head coming into it was don't count me out. He went out there and proved that you don't count people out. You just got to get back in there and do it. So Volkanovski, two-time featherweight champion, one of the absolute goats of Australian combat sports. So we love to see it, Tom.
Mate, you have pumped me up with that wrap up. I'm ready to go train. Hey, that was awesome.
Get in the gym right now, baby.
Yes.
All right, mate. Will you enjoy? How much longer have you got over there now?
Another 10 days. So yeah, keen
All right,
man. It's gonna be awesome.
mate, long stint. So let's have a watch out. If there's any more MMA fight news, we'll bring you back here on season ticket holders. But Tom, once again, mate, I'm sending you my love and sending you a beer because I'd love to be having one with you after this fun. But I'm sure we'll do it soon, brother. So take care.
Thank you, bro. I'll chat to you soon.
No worries. And thanks everyone for listening. Take care. Bye bye.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Cheers, brother.